After working night shift, I was at customer service and the phone went off. And instead of saying welcome to shop customer services, I just whispered, cucumber service, and hung up. I work at a bar. Someone ordered vodka but didn't ask for a mixer. I forgot the word for neat and said, would you like that naked? I worked at an advanced auto and someone called about oil, and when I told him we don't have it, he just said, damn, you're not advanced at all, and hung up. Starbucks drive-thru, held out my hand for this guy's payment, and he ashed his cigarette on my hand instead. Brain shut down and I just said, sir, that's not what I asked for. When I first began driving on my own, I went to the McDonald's drive-thru. Panicked so bad when they asked me for my order, I just went big, and got so humiliated that I decided it wasn't worth it and drove off in tears. I do retail, and this woman that I helped find her stuff stared at the tip screen for a good 10 seconds and just said out loud, yeah, I guess I'll skip. I used to say either, feel free to ask any questions, or don't hesitate to ask. And one day I said, if you have any questions, feel free to hesitate. When I worked at Culver's, there was one day where I just kept asking everyone, would you like fries as your drink? And then not correcting myself. One time I had to answer the phone at work, and we have a whole thing we're supposed to say, and when I picked it up, I went, hello. Went through a drive-thru, and the guy taking my order leaned out the window singing, I'm drunk as hell, don't tell. I wanted some flavour-blasted goldfish, and called them finger-blasted goldfish instead, smiley face. We just had a snowstorm, and instead of telling a customer not to slip, I said, have a good night, and please slip and fall. Not really customer service, but I'm an EMT and I covered for a dispatcher one night and answered a 911 call with, yeah? Like it was a regular phone call. One time a lady spilled the entire thing of sweet tea on me and she just started screaming and crying and then ran out of her job and left. Worked in retail and this guy was asking where something was. I didn't know. He said, how do you not know? And I just went, because I'm stupid? I once tried to ask for a vegan cheese, bean and sausage melt in Greg's, and instead, with full confidence, asked for a vegan cheen and beanin. I asked someone what size milkshake they wanted, and he just said, orange. I work at a burger place. I answered the phone to an obvious 9-year-old asking for a skippity toilet burger, and got mad when I said we don't have it. A guy came through my drive-thru today. I asked what drink he wanted with his meal, and he just said, ketchup. I accidentally gave a customer an extra $1 in change, and she yelled at me, come on little girl. And then she said, my tip to you is to learn how to properly count money back. Got handed a menu and said, hi, instead of thank you. He asked, what was that? And I just repeated, thanks. I had a guy threaten to skin me like a deer over fried pickles. A customer bought a birthday card for their dad, and instead of having hope you have a nice day, at the end I said, hope you have a dad. Sold a guy a pack of super menthols and watched him go outside, break the filter off one, eat it, then light his now unfiltered menthol cigarette. I spilled soy sauce on a lady's white pants at work and I just looked at her and said, pants. I tried to ask a customer if they had virgin hair, as in no colour on it, and then looked at them dead in the eyes and said, are you a virgin? A guy at work told me to have a good day, and I said, I love you too. And then we both stared at each other in disbelief before I said I had an emergency and ran away. Was at a Walmart and forgot what sheet protectors were called. Straight face, asked a dude if they had plastic paper jackets. Had a customer comment on how nice it was to see someone so bubbly and happy at a job. Without hesitation, I replied, thanks, I'm dead inside. Little Caesar's drive-thru, expecting the cashier to take our order, but she asked how we were doing. My ex replied, hot and ready. I was trying to ask a customer if the D in their last name was capital, but I forgot the word and just said, is the D big or little? He just stared. Cashier jokingly stuck a £2.59 tag on me. Now every time I walk in, he asks, how you doing, $2.59? I'm worth at least £3, come on. I was working at a bakery and hit the wrong button at a checkout. I looked down to fix it, only to get hit with a baguette. I work at Dairy Queen and while handing out a cherry dilly bar, made eye contact and said, "Here's your chewy, chili dewy bar." And I just walked away and hid in the back. I was on an elevator full of people and it started to bounce and I just went, "Oh, that's not fun." I work in a pet salon and I told a customer their total for today was 30 dogs instead of $30. Worked at a gas station and a shirtless guy came in, asked where our lighters are and lit his cigarette and walked out. Once I was in a store and someone was doing the closing announcement and something happened to the mic and all I heard was and someone repeatedly cursing. When I first started bartending, instead of asking people if they wanted ice, I said, "Do you want glass in your drink?" I work at a Burger King and I had a guy confirm his order for me and he just said it was a Big Mac, which I just blankly stared at him and he created himself with a quarter pounder. Not food, but my mum couldn't think of the word for a monocle, so she just said a unigoggle. One time I asked this lady through the drive-thru if she wanted a pub cup and she said, "For one." And I said, your dog? Really confused. And she said, "That's my child," and rolled down the backseat window to a child. I work at the cheese section a lot, and one time my boss forgot my name and just wrote cheese for who was closing cheese that night on the assignment list. Had a co-worker ask how many pounds short I was, as in how many I needed, and I said 5'4". Worked at a pet store, wanted to ask someone, "Does your dog like lamb?" But I just froze and said, "Dog?" I used to work at a swim school and my co-worker was teaching a class helping a 4-year-old swim, but randomly stops midway and lets the kid float there face down and says, "No survival skills." Once I was giving someone directions and I kept pointing left while saying, "Turn right," and the guy said, never mind, I'll just use Google Maps. One time at Dairy Queen, this lady's blizzard ended up being a double cup because of the dribbling, and I forgot to not flip it. Whole thing fell on her lap. Worked at an animal ER, and instead of asking the owner, "If your dog stops breathing during surgery, do you want us to do CPR?" I asked, "If you die, CPR?" One time I came through the drive-thru and ordered a burger and milkshake. I asked if he wanted whipped cream on it, and he goes, "On what? The burger?" Once I was whistling tequila, and my manager told me he played that song for girls if sex got awkward. One time a customer was like, "I'd like 2 young ones," and I gave them a look and said, young ones? They said donuts. I misheard. Bakery. I didn't make coffee, just wrote the order down, and a man asked for a double shot of espresso. I ask him what size twice before it sinks in. Worked at a Walgreens and Miss Fields cookies. One day I greeted a cookie customer with "Welcome to Walgreens," and she looked at me like I kicked her dog. One time my manager, a grown-ass man, picked up the phone and said, "Thank you for choosing Zaxby's. How can I get? What can I help? How?" And then just hung up. When I was still new to my job, I accidentally charged someone $1,345 for a latte. One time I clocked out, had the relieving cashier ring me up for a snack, then realised I was trying to put a $20 bill in the card machine. One time I was in a Zoom with my therapist and heard a loud yapping, and she just adopted a dog, so I was like, "Yeah, I know how it is with dogs." Anyway, that was her children.